Well, this sandwich is an unmitigated disaster. I asked for turkey and roast beef with lettuce and Swiss on whole wheat.
What did they give you?
Turkey and roast beef with Swiss and lettuce on whole wheat. It's the right ingredients, but in the wrong order. In a proper sandwich, the cheese is adjacent to the bread to create a moisture barrier against the lettuce. They might as well drag this thing through a car wash.
I don't believe it.
I know.
Are you aware that your sister is an incredibly attractive woman?
She certainly has a symmetry and low body fat that Western culture deems desirable. It's noteworthy. At other points in history, heavier women were the standard for beauty because their girth suggested affluence.
That's fascinating, but
I
my
didn't say it
point
was
is...
fascinating. I said it was noteworthy.
All right, noted. But my point is that Koothrappali and Wallowitz, they're hitting on your sister. Ugh, it's...
Oh, okay. You know, I don't want to criticize your rhetorical style, but we'd be a lot further along in this conversation if you'd begun with that thought.
That's great,
What
but
I'm saying is that we took quite an unnecessary detour from what I now understand to be your thesis.
Whatever. You have to do something about it.
Why?
Because she's your sister.
I don't understand. But yes, we shared a uterus for 9 months. But since then, we've pretty much gone our own separate ways.
Okay, consider this. With your father gone, it is your responsibility to make sure that Missy chooses a suitable mate.
I hadn't considered that. We do share DNA. So there is the possibility, however remote, that resting in her loins is the potential for another individual as remarkable as myself.
Exactly. And you owe it to yourself and to posterity to protect the genetic integrity of your sister's future offspring.
You're right. If someone wants to get at Missy's fallopian tubes, they'll have to go through me. How exactly would one measure a sense of humor? A humormometer?
Well, I think you're delightfully droll. Or as the French say, très drôle.
Okay, so let me see if I got this. Leonard, Howard, and I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Rajesh.
That's not the secret knock. This is the secret knock.
What difference does it make?
The whole point of a secret knock is to establish a nonverbal signal to verify the identity of one's co-conspirators.
Is that Raj and Howard?
Possibly, but unverified. Because I didn't bring one.
Why not?
Don't ask. The entire institution of gift giving makes no sense.
Too late.
Let's say that I go out and I spend $50 on you. Well, it's a laborious activity because I have to imagine what you need, whereas you know what you need. Now, I could simplify things, just give you the $50 directly, and then you could give me $50 on my birthday, and so on until one of us dies, leaving the other one old and $50 richer. And I ask you, is it worth it?
Told you not to ask.
Well, Sheldon, you're his friend. Friends give each other presents.
I accept your premise. I reject your conclusion.
Not surprising. Penny's emotional responses originate in the primitive portion of the brain known as the amygdala, while speech is centered in the much more recently developed neocortex. The former can easily overpower the latter, giving scientific credence to the notion of being rendered speechless. Or maybe she just doesn't want to talk.
Sheldon, do you have anything to say that has anything to do with, you know, what I'm talking about?
Well, let's see. We might consider Schrodinger's cat.
Schrodinger. Is that the woman in 2A?
No, that's Mrs. Grossinger. And she doesn't have a cat. She has a Mexican hairless, annoying little animal. Yip, yip, yip.
Sheldon!
Sorry, you diverted me. Anyway, In 1935, Erwin Schrödinger, in an attempt to explain the Copenhagen interpretation of quantum physics, he proposed an experiment where a cat is placed in a box with a sealed vial of poison that will break open at a random time. Now, since no one knows when or if the poison has been released, until the box is opened, the cat can be thought of as both alive and dead.
I'm sorry, I don't get the point.
Well, of course you don't get it. I haven't made it yet. You have to be psychic to get it, and there's no such thing as psychic.
Sheldon, what's the point?
Just like Schrodinger's cat, your potential relationship with Leonard right now can be thought of as both good and bad. It is only by opening the box that you'll find out which it is. If we accept your premise, and also accept the highly improbable assumption that Penny is the only woman in the world for you, then we can logically conclude that the result of blowing it would be that you end up a lonely, bitter old man with no progeny. The image of any number of evil lighthouse keepers from Scooby-Doo cartoons comes to mind.
You're not helping.
All right, what response on my part would bring this conversation to a speedy conclusion?
Tell me whether or not to go through with the date.
Schrodinger's cat. BT Zainar. BT.
请干见 BT 后，快走快走
这不是六丁教的教。
！Crazy man, call the police!
Bubi dai ge tu shuguan. BT Zainar. มันยอดสวช่วงช่องอัน多มันยอด。哎呀！